The first principle of Ayurveda is that while all the health problem happens in our mind-body system, all the systems to heal us also working within our own mind-body system. So who is the healer? The real healing power is within you. If you can empower the internal healing mechanism, any problem can be resolved. We are here to empower that. Ayurveda is a natural holistic life science from ancient India, focusing on making individuals healthy, harmonious, happy, peaceful, and helping them to live the longest possible. It is very simple, it is practical, and it is holistic. If you look at the history of Ayurveda, you will see that there are thousands of years of tradition. But in the history of India, a lot of innovations happened. And whoever came brought their own ideas, their own sciences. So there was a period where the system got disrupted. But that small strip of land called Kerala was completely protected by nature and people, and was able to continue the unbroken tradition of Ayurveda. That is why the Kerala tradition became identified as the authentic Ayurvedic practice across the globe. It's a very diversified land, very rich with different type of climates. There are mountain ranges, there are serene backwaters, lakes, and there are beautiful beaches and plenty of herbs, lush green. Ayurveda is a science that harnesses the goodness and the healing benefits of this nature. Vaidyan K.G.K. Panikar was a part of a lineage tradition of Ayurveda. He, in 1945, on the banks of the river Periyar in Cochin, Kerala, created a one-room apothecary called the Kerala Ayurveda. He has written that this science is not for just one group, this is for the whole mankind. Kerala Ayurveda celebrated its 75 years of service to humanity in 2019. We touched 1 million people through our clinics and hospitals and practices. And we have more than 350 herbal Ayurvedic formulations, both for prevention as well as for healing various conditions. And there is much more need globally, so we are making it available to the global community. Kerala Ayurveda in the US today has its academy stationed here in San Francisco Bay Area. So the preparation is over now. Now it is making the recipe. We have an education-oriented wellness center where we provide Ayurvedic consultation and Ayurvedic services. We have about 200 products available in the US, which includes food, for example, the cultured organic ghee. Then the external applications, traditional oils and the creams. Then we have the single herb supplements for general well-being and general health, that which supports the mind, the digestion, the memory. Then we have Kerala Ayurveda's own proprietary herb formulations. Then the classical Ayurvedic formulations like the herb-infused ghee or the fermented preparations and the jam consistency preparations. These products are available for the practitioners as well as the public. At Kerala Ayurveda, we believe that you are born to live well. Helping fellow beings is considered as the highest righteousness in human life. We are here to heal, support, and make their lives better. This is not a job for us. This is our life.
Danya, please unmute.
Namaste all. I bid a very warm welcome to all who took out their valuable time and joined with us today to be the part of our webinar. I am Dr. Dhanya, the Senior Medical Officer and co-host for today's session. We are truly delighted and honored to have you all with us to enjoy this session. So just a few house rules before we get started. Only 500 participants will be able to view through the Zoom link, and all the others can watch the live stream through our YouTube channel. For an uninterrupted listening, we have turned off the video cameras and muted all the invitees. If you have any queries during the webinar, please convey it through the Q&A box, which you can see at the bottom of the Zoom panel. Thank you for the cooperation. The schedule of the webinar will focus on Ayurvedic nutrition and wellness. I wish this webinar enlighten us all. Let us unlock the wellness potential with the Ayurvedic nutrition. Now, I would like to request Dr. Anil Kumar, our Executive Director and mentor of today's session, to guide us through today's session. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Danya. And good evening to all of you, and especially to Dr. Deepti Nair, and welcome, Dr. Deepti Nair. Today, we are going to conduct the webinar series, which we call as Kalpam Talk. And we have been conducting this as a series for a long time. And this webinar is actually sponsored by CARE Foundation, Kerala Ayurveda Research and Education Foundation. It is actually promoted by Kerala Ayurveda Limited. So today's subject is Revitalize Your Health, Ayurveda Nutrition, Wisdom Unveiled. This subject will be handled by Dr. Deepti Nair. We all know that Sastavrta is the main branch in Ayurveda, and I think it has been ignored by all of us for a long time. Maybe after the pandemic, COVID and all, then this has been again coming back as a prominent part of Ayurveda. So Sastavrta is actually deals with the healthy living practices, as well as holistic approach with the support of diet and hygiene and yoga. So basically, Sastavrta emphasize mostly on diet and also exercise, lifestyle modifications to maintain good health. So we know that now the major issue is lifestyle diseases, which is actually the way how we live and doesn't take care of the living practices. So if you see the main factors contributing to the lifestyle diseases include bad food habits. That's the main reason for a lifestyle disease. Physical inactivity, disturbed biological clock. These are the major aspects. So healthy lifestyle must be adopted with a proper balanced diet, physical activity. So all this will be covered by Dr. Deepti Nair. So I am not entering to that main subject, but she will be covering I think mostly the food habits and with the diets and how we can maintain the health. So to mention, even Ayush has come out with a book called Hitam, where 100 healthy Ayush recipes were published by them, and mainly with a theme, healthy food is the best medicine. That is a theme they have also given. So that's a true, a healthy food is the best medicine for any disease or a person to be healthy always, to be swastha always. Even Charaga has emphasized that one should take care of his body, neglecting all other things in his life, because if body is not healthy, nothing will help him to do the karma. So that is the important factor. So let us hear Dr. Deepti Nair about the subject Revitalize Your Health, Ayurveda Nutritional Wisdom Unveiled. So Dr. Deepti Nair, I will introduce Dr. Deepti Nair. She studied BAMS and PG from Kottakkal Ayurvedisala, Kottakkal. And she had a PhD in Sastavrta from Pune College, and also she's also a yoga instructor. Now she is serving as principal and medical superintendent at RK University Ayurvedic College Hospital, Rajkot, Gujarat. And also working as professor and HOD cum consultant physician in Swasthavrta and Yoga. So that is also very important. And she worked as a professor in Department of Muralidhar Ayurveda College, also Rajkot. Then she was also at Chandagiri Ayurveda Medical College, Palakkad for a long time. Then worked as a consultant physician in Ahalya Ayurveda College, Palakkad. So she had a vast experience, especially in Swasthavrta. So I congratulate her because most of the PG scholars, they doesn't stick on to their subject. They will go for general practice. At least she is maintaining that subject and propagating that. So that is the advantage. So let us hear. And she has attended presented papers in international and national webinars and seminars. So she's capable of giving us a lot of inputs on the lifestyle diseases and the diet. So welcome, Dr. Deepthi Nair once again, and over to you for the subject. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Shall I share my screen?
Sure.
It's visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. Namaste all. A warm good evening and welcome to the sessions. I would extend my sincere gratitude to Kerala Ayurveda for inviting me and making me a part of today's Kalpam Talk session. Today, by length, we'll be discussing about the importance of diet in Ayurveda, as Anil sir has been mentioning in the introduction. Basically, Swasthavrta helps you in promoting the health through a healthy lifestyle, which includes diet also, apart from the other things. So the Ayurveda basically focuses on diet part because it's a part and parcel of our life. We can't exist without food. And this very food decides whether we'll be healthy or we'll get any sort of diseases. So judicious involvement or indulgence into the diet is actually the key factor which will help us in maintaining our health. As you might be aware that basically Ayurveda describes 3 pillars which supports the body, or rather which supports the ayus or the life. It's aharam, nidra and brahmacharya. Nidra means a proper sleep. We all know the importance of sleep in the promotion of health, in the nourishment of the body. Similarly, brahmacharya, I would say it includes all the activities, all the disciplined activities, and not only the sexual acts. Okay, brahmacharya will include all the activities you do in a day, right? And of course, aharam. So sticking on to the today's topic, I'll be talking about the ahara only. And rightly said in Kashyapa Samhita, ahara mahabhaishaja means ahara in itself is the biggest medicine if you use it judiciously. If you are using a healthy diet, you will never require any sort of medicine. Then similarly, Charaka has also stated that ahara sambhavam vastu rogascha ahara sambhav, which means vastu means our body. So the physical body is made up of the food which we consume. Whatever we consume, it is basically transformed into our physical body, and whatever diseases inflict upon this body, that are also born from the unhealthy diet habits only. So that is the importance of diet in promotion of health. So basically, it's an art of healthy eating, which will include what to eat, how to eat, and when to eat. So what to eat? We all are aware of the concept of balanced diet, and this pyramid is very familiar to all of us. Unfortunately, today this pyramid is basically inverted. But again, I would say that considering the principles of Ayurveda, we cannot propagate this concept of balanced diet, because they say that cereals has to be consumed in the most or the major part of the diet. But then according to Ayurveda, not all the cereals are equally healthy. Not all the pulses are equally healthy. So we cannot exactly fit this pyramid into the principles of Ayurvedic diet. So has there been any mention of balanced diet in Ayurveda? Yes, it comes when there is a mention of Nitya Sevaniya Aharas. So Shali, Shashtiga, Godhuma, Mudga, Amalaka, Yavan, and likewise the sloga goes on. So basically, they have mentioned certain cereals like Yava, Godhuma, and Shali and Shashtika rice. So these are considered as the healthy cereals which will support our bodily tissues, that is our dhatus. It will nourish the dhatus. Then the best type of pulse or the Shimpi Dhanyam, Mudga, it has been considered to be a Nitya Sevaniya Ahara. Means we have to include this in our daily diet so that we get a sufficient quantity of healthy proteins. Then Saindhava, that is the Saindhava salt. It is a rich source of minerals required in the body. And similarly, amlaki or the gooseberries, which is a rich storehouse of various vitamins and minerals essential for the body, both to promote health and also to strengthen the immune power. Then comes the milk, which of course is a complete diet. So it has been indicated for a daily consumption. Then healthy fat, which is required for the maintenance of certain visceral organs and also for basic physiological reactions in the body. So the most healthiest form of fat, the pure ghee, the homemade ghee, is also suggested to be consumed in the daily diet. Then as a source of fat and protein, Jangala mamsam has been indicated because it has properties very much similar to our body tissues. So it will help in the nourishment. Then further, honey has been suggested to be included in the daily diet. This is just to balance any sort of the accumulation or madas accumulation in the body, which can be balanced due to the lekhana property of this madhu. So this is basically a list of ingredients which should be included in our day-to-day diet. At the same time, certain things have to be avoided from the daily diet, like the dried vegetables, dried meat, the curd or the paneer, even the black gram, which is a very basic thing included in most of the recipes, especially the breakfast recipes, they have said to be avoided. The tubers have been said to be avoided. It's because these processed foods or the dried foods have lost their natural properties. These natural properties are basically supportive to the body. So when they are processed in these ways, they have lost their natural properties, and then it becomes difficult for our digestive machinery to process it and convert it into the body tissues. Considering the articles like black gram, it's very much heavy and it increases the abhishandanatvam in the body, which will block our channels and which will compromise on our nutrition. So that is why these things have been said to be excluded from the daily diet. Then also there is a suggestion that similar to the way we consider climate or the place we are in to select our clothings, likewise, we have to consider our place of residence as well as the season when we select our food. And this is basically not much considered, but it has a serious implication on our health because depending on a place or on the season, there is a proportionate imbalance in the three doshas, that is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So if we are not considering this, this imbalance in doshas will keep on increasing and ultimately we will be suffering from diseases. So while selecting our food, we have to give a due consideration to the concept of balanced diet as mentioned in our textbooks, and also the place and season with respect to the predominant dosha in that particular place or season. Then another important aspect is quantity of food. If we are filling a fuel in our car, we'll be very cautious not to overfill it. Right. Similarly, when we are using basic gadgets in the kitchen, like a simple blender or anything, we'll be very cautious about the maximum quantity we can fill into that. Our stomach is also such a organ which has a maximum capacity. If we fill beyond that capacity, the digestion will not happen properly. But we ignore such things. We ignore the quantity of food, or rather we even ignore the selection of food. If you fill petrol into a diesel car, you will never do it. I'm sure for it, you will never do it because we all of us care our gadgets and our vehicles very keenly. But we don't understand that our body is also similar to a gadget or similar to an equipment, which also needs to be maintained properly. So quantity of food is also important to ensure an effective digestion. So quantity of food, it will basically depend on the type of food, what food you are selecting, and again, based on the time or the season. So these two concepts generally revolves around the basic concept of Agni, which has been mentioned in Ayurveda. So whatever type of food you suggest or whatever, select, or whatever season or time, basically you have to consider the Agni, because again, there is a variation of Agni in different season or different time. And depending on the property, basic property of the food, it will decide how your Agni or how your digestive system is going to process that. So these two factors will ultimately depend on the Agni. So what is the concept of Agni? Simple, just taking an example of our chulha, like if we overfill it with the fuel, the fire will not be properly burnt. At the same time, if it is too less, if the fuel is too less, then also the thing, whatever we are keeping for cooking, it will not be cooked appropriately. So we have to maintain a moderate fuel so that the Agni or the fire is moderately burning, not to overcook or not to undercook the food. Similarly, there is a Agni or there is a digestive fire in each of our bodies, which is going to metabolize or which is going to digest whatever stuff we are putting into the stomach. So we have to make sure that the fuel which we are providing is moderate, neither too less nor too high, which will disturb the cooking or digestion of the food we consume. So we have to give a consideration to that Agni also. What type of Agni you are having, accordingly you have to select your foods. As I was telling, for example, the black gram, it's guru, it's heavy to digest. So if you are consuming in a large quantity, your digestive fire will not be able to process it appropriately, and then you will get certain metabolic disturbances. Okay, so based on the Agni, we have to consider the quality of food which you are going to consume and then fix the quantity. Next comes when to eat. What should be the food timing? Basically, what we follow is getting up in the morning. After all the morning normal routines, we have a breakfast time, probably 8 to 9. We consume the breakfast. Then lunchtime, most of the times in between 12 to 1 or 1 to 2, it's the lunchtime. We consume the food. Then again at night, 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 might be the dinner time. So we are basically consuming foods based on the clock, but it's the wrong thing. We must consume the food if and only if our body is requiring that. Similar, the way we fill fuel in our cars, when we see that the fuel indicator is going down, then only we fill fuel in the car. Similarly, if your body is deprived of the meal which you had previously eaten, it has properly been digested, then the body will give you a signal that it requires the fuel. That is called the hunger or the appetite. So when that hunger or the appetite is manifesting properly, that is known as the food timing, and it is not decided, it is not to be decided based on the clock. Okay, so basically Ayurveda promotes Dvikala Bhojana, means we have to consume food twice daily. Yama Madhyena Bhoktavyam Yama Yukmatna Lankayat is a basic principle considering the timing of food given in Ayurveda. It says that Yama means 3 hours. So once you have eaten a meal, minimum 3 hours is required for metabolizing that food if you have taken in an appropriate quantity. Okay, so you must not take another meal in between this time of 3 hours. Otherwise, it will not be properly digested. And more than 6 hours, Yama Yugma means 2 Yama, that is 6 hours. More than 6 hours, you should not keep yourself deprived of food, because then the fuel will not be available for the digestive fire to work on, and then it will start working on your body tissues. So your tissues will be depleted, and thereby you will get many disorders. So appropriate time gap between the food is minimum 3 hours and maximum 6 hours. Of course, depending on our current lifestyle or our current quantity of food which we can consume, there are modifications in that. So this will vary from person to person. As I said, this is a basic principle, but then again, person to person, depending on Agni and all, this can be modified to 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day. Then these are certain basic signs which you must assess before taking the meal. Utkara Shuddhi means before consuming the next meal, you have to make sure that if you are having belchings, there should not be any smell or taste of previously eaten meal, which is an indicator that completely the previous meal has been digested. Next is ulsaha. You should not be feeling heavy. You should not be feeling lazy to do your day-to-day activities. You should be having that enthusiasm that will come only when your body is lighter after the digestion of your previous meal. Yathochita vegolsarga means your natural urges of bowel and bladder, these must be proper. If you are having recurrent constipations or any disturbances in your natural urges, then it means that your digestion is not taking place properly. Then laghuta, as I said, lightness. When the previous meal is completely digested, your body will feel that lightness and then the appetite or the hunger will be manifested. Right. So these things we have to consider. The next is how to eat. How to eat is basically a set of rules which we must follow. And these rules help in ensuring that whatever you are consuming, it will be properly digested. So the first principle is hot food should be consumed. Whatever meal you are taking, it should be hot enough to support the digestion, because once the food is very cold, it will not be digested easily or it will take long time to get digested. So it's always advisable to consume hot food, preferably freshly cooked food, avoiding the reheating. So that means we have to completely say no to canned or preserved foods which required reheating or reprocessing. Okay, I know it's not possible always because we are working people. Most of the times, right, it's not possible to eat freshly prepared food, but as far as possible, whenever we are at home, at least morning and evening, we'll be taking food from the home only. So that time we can consume freshly prepared hot food. Then it should be moist, means adequate moisture content must be there in the food. It should not be very dry, means it should not be overcooked. It should not be highly roasted. Why? Because if there is not sufficient moisture content in the food, similar to a sponge, when you keep a dry sponge into a bowl of water, it will absorb all the water from the bowl. So similarly, if you put a extremely dry food into your digestive tract, it will absorb the fluids from your cells. It will absorb the fluid content from your cells. So you will feel too much of dryness and too much of acidity in the tract, which will produce further issues like constipation and all. So there should be sufficient moisture content, natural moisture content in the food, which can be preserved only by not over frying or over cooking the food. Then adequate quantity, which we have already discussed. And we must consume the food only when you are feeling hungry, already discussed. Avoid unwholesome food combinations, which is the concept of viruddha. Certain food combinations produce disturbances in metabolism. So when they are not properly metabolized, when they are retained in the body, they get converted into toxic material, which can produce various diseases, especially the skin diseases. So it's always advisable to avoid such unwholesome food combinations. A big list of that has been provided in the classics. Because of time constraints, I'm not able to include all those things here. And another very important thing is we should consume our food in a pleasant place with a pleasant mind. This principle also is at large being violated these days. Pleasant place means a place where we can fully concentrate on our food. It's neat and tidy, and we feel happy taking meal in that particular environment. So that is a pleasant place. But unfortunately, we don't get such pleasant places most of the times, right? Because we are at workplaces or we are traveling or for many other reasons. And pleasant mind. Sometimes we don't even know what we are consuming. We are not even able to concentrate on what we are consuming. Just because it's time for the lunch or it's time for the dinner, we are eating. At the same time, many things will be going on in the back of our mind. So that is also a faulty practice. Then we should not consume the meal either too fast or too slow. Too fast means it can enter into your windpipe, produce choking, and not too slow means if you're eating too slow, you will not actually be able to enjoy the real taste of the food. The food will get cold, and then again, it will be not easy to digest that sort of food. And without talking or laughing. Again, in between, if you are talking or laughing, the food has a chance to enter into your windpipe and produce choking. without distractions and with full concentration on the food. That is what I was telling, pleasant mind. When you are eating your food, be completely focused on that food and avoid all the gadgets, avoid television, avoid your mobile, avoid all things and focus on what you are eating. Then only you will be able to get maximum benefit of the food, right? With suitable post-drinks, that is anupan. What is the concept of anupan? If we suppose certain nutrients is lacking in your meal, it can be compensated or it can be complemented with the particular anupan. So that is one aspect. And the second aspect is the anupan is advised in a way that it helps in easy digestion of the food which you are consuming. So again, there is a list of anupan, especially if you go through the Sushrut Samhita, a list of anupanas has been mentioned specific to each and every food article. So it's based on this principle that one is to complement the meal and the second one is to ensure that whatever food is being consumed, it can be easily digested with suitable post drinks. So in brief, if I say early morning, the best panam is water. It should be boiled and stored preferably in a copper vessel, and this water should be consumed early in the morning after brushing your teeth, which is known as the concept of Ushapanam, which basically helps in stimulating the peristalsis. So once the peristalsis has been stimulated, there will be a normal bowel and you will feel appropriate hunger, your digestion will be properly maintained and many disorders, especially the GIT disorders, will be prevented. After meal, it's always advisable to drink buttermilk. Means there should not be any fat content in that. All the butter should be removed and that buttermilk has been advised to be consumed after meal because it helps in proper digestion. And at the bedtime or after your dinner, it's advised to consume the milk because again, it helps in preventing all sorts of vidaha or vishtambha which can be happened due to your meal. So if you are not aware of the big list of anupanas, minimum these three things you can follow in your day-to-day meal practices. Then I was telling about unwholesome food combinations. Some examples which are prevalent in the current scenario I have put on here, like curd along with non-veg, especially chicken or fish, because they together produces abhishyandana. Abhishyandana will always lead to blocking your srodhas, that is the channels through which the nourishment to your tissues is going. So once those channels are blocked, your tissue nourishment will be compromised. So it will lead to various diseases. Then the smoothies or the shakes, which is a trend these days, mixing fruits with milk, that again is an unwholesome combination. Then preparing gravies with curd. Many recipes are there wherein the curd is added and it is heated. It's not at all advisable to heat curd or to add curd in a hot recipe. Then combinations of milk with non-veg, especially with the fish. So these are certain unwholesome combinations which are very, very common in our day-to-day diet these days. So only those I have put up so that we can at least have an idea what all things we have to basically avoid. So still, most of the times it might not be possible to completely avoid these sorts of viruddham. So in that case, even Acharya has given us a way out for that. He says that for certain criteria, for certain group of people, even this viruddham will not produce any issues. And those categories are those who are satmyam, means by gradually consuming it on a daily basis, they have become used to that. So for them, that viruddha will not produce any serious implications. Then those who are consuming in very small quantity, in a negligible quantity, if you are consuming these sorts of combinations, then also it will not produce any issues. Then Agni, Deepta Agni, if you are having a strong digestive fire, you have a very good metabolic mechanism, then also this viruddha will not produce any complications for your body. Then Taruna Vayaha. Taruna Vaya means middle age, because in middle age, basically the Agni is, it is a Pitta Kala. So the Agni will be very much good. But again, it will vary from person to person. In general, Taruna Vaya is said to be having a Pitta predominance. So Agni will be very much working in a good way. So though they can consume, and also they have a very active life. It's presumed to be so, though the situation is changing now. So it will be easily digested. Then snigdha nitya, those who are consuming adequate amounts of sneha like ghee in their day-to-day diet, for them also viruddha will not be causing much of the complication. Then very important one is vyayama nityam, means doing regular physical exercise, because vyayam itself has a property of producing agni deepanam. So even though the other things we are not able to do, this one thing we can suggest to the patients coming to us, and we can also adopt it in our day-to-day lives, because I agree it's not possible to always avoid the viruddha. But then if we are making a habit of doing regular physical exercise daily, we can stay away from the bad effects of such viruddhas. And then balavan, those who are already having a good physical strength, for them also viruddha will not be causing serious complications. So this is a category of people for whom even the viruddha will not produce diseases. In that, we can strictly focus on this concept of vyayama nitya. Then food processing. Again, deep frying, it will remove the natural moisture content from the food, or overcooking the food, it will make it dry. So such type of foods also, the way how we process it, that is also important to preserve the natural qualities and also to make it easily digestible in the body. Two things are there. Once when we are processing it into means overcooking it or processing it in these ways, it will lose its natural nutrients. So it's of no sense consuming such food. And the second thing is that because of these type of processing, it will become difficult for the digestive system to appropriately handle that. So that will also create issues. So there will be zero nutrition, rather than we'll be ending up into various types of diseases. So food processing is also one thing we must be very particular about. And then comes the food for prakriti. See, all people can't consume all the things in a similar way. So we are aware of food allergies. We are aware of how different people react to different types of food. If I consume a spicy food, I may not get acidity, but the other person consuming the same food with me may complain of acidity. That also depends on the prakriti of the person. We know vata, pitta, kapha combinations, prakritis are there. 7 types of prakritis have been enumerated. So we can't discuss in detail what a vata person should take, what a pitta person should take, or kapha person should take. But we can just simply state that vriddhi samanehi sarvesham viparito viparya is a concept. Means whatever food we are consuming, whatever prakriti we have, if you are consuming food articles having properties similar to that dosha, there will be diseases based on that dosha in your body. For example, a pitta predominant person, prakriti person, if consuming tikshna, ushna, ahara, he will be more prone to get pitta pradhana vyadis than a vata prakriti or a kapha prakriti person. Means, like for example, acidity or amla pitta, rakta pitta, those sort of diseases will be more vulnerable. Means the people with pitta prakriti will be more vulnerable for getting those diseases if they consume ushna, tikshna, sort of like pitta profile type of food articles compared to a vata or kapha predominant prakriti. So similarly, a person who is vata predominant person will be having vulnerability towards diseases like arthritis or joint pains or constipation if he is consuming more of ruksha laghu type of aharas. Okay, so we have to have a basic idea of what are the properties of these 3 doshas, and we should be having a basic idea of the properties of the food articles, commonly consumed food articles. Then it will be easy for us to prescribe what a vata prakriti should eat, what a pitta prakriti should eat, and what a kapha prakriti person should eat. So this basic principle can be applied there. Then there are 3 toxic food practices which are considered to be equivalent to which are considered to be seriously fatal. These are samashanam, adhyashanam, vishamashanam, and I must say that these 3 practices are very common in the current scenario. Samashana means it's a combination of patya and apatya food. Like we have enlisted nitya patya, nitya patya, foods to be consumed daily, foods not to be consumed daily. And when we are combining these 2 stuffs together, for example, you are eating shali with fish. It has a combination of patya, it has a combination of apatya also. So that sort of food is known as samashanam. It's not at all advisable because of its toxic effects in the body. Because we know that pathya will be easily digested. At the same time, apathya cannot be easily digested. Giving two things together, which have a different metabolic profile, will confuse your digestive system, and it will not be properly digested, right? Then next is adhyasana, means taking meal before digestion of the previous meals. I have mentioned certain signs which will be manifested in the body when your previously eaten food has been fully digested. And if you are just ignoring them and taking on the next meal, it's called adhyashanam. Okay, so like having a breakfast at 8 a.m. and then going to the office or your workplace, and at 10 a.m. again you go for a tea along with that certain snacks, and then again 12 o'clock or 12:30, it's because it's your lunchtime, you again go for your lunch. So this is basically adhyashanam. You are not giving proper time for your body to process whatever things you have put in previously. Okay, so that is known as adhyashanam. And then comes the vishamashana. Vishamashana means untimely meal. Untimely means a meal means when you are hungry and it's an appropriate time to take the meal, but you are just avoiding that, you are not taking the meal. And inappropriate quantity means either consuming too less or consuming in a high quantity. These things is known as vishamashana, means you are not properly following the guidelines of the meal. So that is known as vishamashana, which will again confuse your digestive machinery, and the food which you are eating will cause more harm than benefit. So these three practices, I literally say that it's very common these days because people are unaware of the implications, what it can produce in the body. But we, being Ayurveda people, we have to give these small suggestions to our clients visiting our OPDs, so that we can propagate the Ayurvedic dietary principles and promote their health. There are certain other factors which also affect metabolism. One is exercise, as we have been mentioning in the concept of Viruddhahara. So we must advise regular physical exercise because that will promote the digestion, that will promote the metabolism, and it will prevent the accumulation of toxic byproducts of food. So the health can be promoted. Then next is time of bath in relation to food, especially in the students who are staying in the hostel because of the mess timings. There is a common practice that they will just go finish their breakfast and then immediately come and take the bath and go for their classes. It's a very common thing, right? But according to Ayurveda, the bath should be avoided immediately after food, at least for a muhurta kalam. That means 48 minutes. Why? Because once you have consumed your food, it's under the process of digestion, means the digestion has just started. At that time, if you are taking a bath, it will interrupt the procedure. It will hamper the procedure or the reaction of digestion. So it will not be, the food will not be easily digested, and then you will be getting various metabolic issues. So it is always advisable to take bath before the food, because bath has a Agni Dibana property. So once you take bath, just you can experience for yourself. If you are getting up at right time in the morning, say 5:30 or 5 to 6, in between that time you are getting up, and then you are having your bath at around 7:30, automatically you will feel that appetite by around 8:30 a.m. because the bath has the Agni Dipana property. So it's advisable to take bath prior to meal rather than going for it after the meal consumption. Then time of sleep in relation to food also. It's advised that immediately after taking the food, we must not sleep, especially at night time. Devaswapna is anyway contraindicated, especially in night times also. It's advised that there should be an appropriate food sleep time gap, and it's advised to be minimum 1 to 2 hours before you retire after taking your meal. Because by that time, almost the process of digestion has means it's going on and it's almost on the stage of completion. So then if you sleep, no issues. Otherwise, after taking the meal and immediately you are going to sleep, means at the sleep time, whole your systems are going to rest. So even the digestive system will not be active. So the meal will not be properly processed. Then mental status. We have been mentioning that concentration on food is important while taking the meals. Pleasant mind is important. The same thing has been mentioned in Charaka also. Matraya abhyavritam pathyam cha annam na jiryati chinta shoka bhaya krodha dukkha shayya prajagraihi. Means even if you are taking food in appropriate quantity, even if you are taking a pathya ahara, but you are not mentally pleasant, then also the food digestion will not take place properly. So that is the importance of taking the meal with pleasant mind. You must be able to enjoy your food. You must be able to relish your food, what you are eating. Then only, because the presence of mind is important in all the activities. Like when we talk about the sense organs, processing the informations we are collecting from our sense organs, presence of mind is needed. Similarly, to digest that food properly, there also the presence of mind is needed. That is the holistic concept based on which the Ayurveda is based. So mental status also is important, while means among the factors which support or which affect the metabolism. Then this is just a chart showing the relationship between the food and mental health. Basically, we say the mental prakritis are sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So there is a list of food articles which will promote the sattvic bhava, which will promote the rajasika bhava, or which will promote the tamasika bhava. As you can see in the chart, that sattvic swabhava is always promoted by tasty and pleasant food which is having adequate moisture contents, and it will support your eyes, it will support your strength, it will support your health. Okay, and these people will be like as the quality of sattvika people is, they will be selfless service mentality. Rajasika, excessively sour, salty or spicy food, acidic in nature, which are hard to digest, all this will be Rajasika. So it will not be easily digested. It will not be conducive to your mind and body, and ultimately it will lead to diseases and promote the Rajasika bhavas in your body. Means you will become egoistic. You will not have any respect for others or for money or anything else. Tamasika means the old stale food, eating in unclean surroundings. All these things are tamasika aharas, which will lead to symptoms like depression or laziness. And ultimately, these people are ignorant. They will do harm to themselves and also to the others. So what we eat, we are what we eat. There is a famous quote, we are what we eat. So both physically as well as mentally, whatever we are consuming, it will define our physical and mental health. So within the given time constraint, whatever basic things I could share with you, I have done. I would be happy to take any queries if you have. And once again, thanking the organizers for this opportunity. We can move on to the question answer session. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Deepthi, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Can you close the presentation?
Okay.
Yeah, fine, thank you. So now for questions, I think very few questions are there. One question is from Sindhu Unikrishnan. I wanted to get a clarity of only 6 hours gap between each meal. That doc mentioned. I follow what it is called circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm, yeah.
Circadian rhythm. So what is your view on that?
I finished my last meal by 5:30 and next day meal 7:30. Okay. It's almost 13 to 14 hours of gap. Is that right? Yes. See, doctor, that's what I was mentioning, that once you consume a meal, it is ideally digested within 3 to 4 hours. And that has been established even by the modern physiology also, that whatever food we consume, it's basically digested by 4 to 5 hours if you are having a good digestive power, right? So beyond that, beyond the period of 6 hours, if you are maintaining a gap in between your 2 meals, your body will be starving. The same thing, the other other participant has also just now posted concept of intermittent fasting. This is the same thing. Intermittent fasting, again, we are keeping a fasting window of almost 13 to 14 hours or 14 to 16 hours, right? It is not advisable based on the Ayurvedic principles because your digestive power is always functioning. It's like a fire which needs fuel to be given. If you are not giving the fuel, it will digest your body tissues. That is what is happening in the case of intermittent fasting. When you are not giving the food, it's digesting your excessively accumulated fat tissue. What if there is not excessive fat tissue in your body? If a normal physique person is going for a meal-less time period, 13 to 14 hours, then on what will this fire be working on? It will be working on your bodily tissues only, normal bodily tissues only, that will be depleted, and gradually, it will not happen in one day or two, but gradually, your body will become weak. Your immunity will become weak and you will be getting recurrent health issues.
Yeah, so you have answered in intermittent fasting also.
Yes.
So what to do when I reach the next meal time, when I get belching and with the taste of previously eaten food?
If you have a taste of previously eaten meal in your belching, you have to wait for some time. Just consume lukewarm water, wait for some time, and gradually that meal will be digested. It means that you are not having a good digestive fire, which is capable of digesting whatever previous meal you have taken. Either you might have taken a heavy meal, or maybe your digestion is weaker. Both could be the case. So in that case, the thing is that give the time to your digestive system to properly process the food. That's the only option we have.
I think there is no more question. I have one question for whether
Yes.
have you assessed the nutritional value of our Ayurvedic combination with food combinations?
So there are certain textbooks mentioning to that, but what I personally feel is that on the concept of modern nutrition, we suggest that consume cereals in this much gram or pulses in this much gram. That is how they plan the diet for a person. But if we do that way, if we measure in grams and tell to the patient, according to our principles, it might not be uniformly applicable because the digestive power will be different for different person. So whatever stuff we are selecting or whatever diet we are suggesting them, it should be basically, there should be a consideration of Agni for that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So I think we'll conclude. You have covered the subject in a very comprehensive manner, starting with balanced diet, then what to include in the diet, what you should not eat, quantity of the food, when to eat, all aspects has been covered well. Thank you for that, especially on the Viruddhahara and food for Prakriti. That is very informative. Okay, so I think we will continue with this type of subject because I believe that Swasthavrta has to be propagated among public. It's
Yes,
just
sir.
happening because mainly this is for the public. Actually, they are the lifestyle disease basically from the food and lifestyle. So if we propagate this in a better manner, especially the Dinacharya, Ridhucharya and all, so I think we will take it up with our foundation to propagate among public of the food habits, and because this elaborate talk what you have done, if it is delivered to a public, then it would be more beneficial for the society. So we will do that in the moving forward. So we'll invite you for that talk with the to make a, we have a plan for building awareness among public. So we will include in that. So let
Sure,
us
sir.
conclude. Thank you, Dr. Deepti Nair, for that good presentation, and we will continue to be in touch with you for further talk and support. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Dr. Danya, for organizing this webinar in a very good manner, and also the support from IT, Mr. Manigandan and Sumesh. So let us wind up. Thank you all the participants for participating at this late evening. But I think it was good for all of us to know more about the diet and the lifestyle. Okay, thank you everyone. Good night.
Thank you, sir. And I think there are certain more queries, but it would be possible for me to answer if Dhanya doctor can collect these queries and send to me. I'll
Yeah.
respond to that.
Yeah, I think now the time is already running.
Yes.
Okay, we will come back to you with the answers through Dr. Danya. You can share the answers to Dr. Danya.
Sure, sure. Sir.
That would be good. Fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Danya, you can call off the meeting with your conclusion remarks, concluding remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Diti. It was a great session, and I think it's very relevant nowadays, especially the Vidadahara combinations as well as the Samikritahara, which had explained in Ayurveda. You had explained well, so I think it was very like a good session to our participants. So I'll just take out these queries and I'll come to you about this, and we can share with the participant later. So I hope these kind of sessions will be having again from you kind of well-established doctors. So thank you, Dr. Dipti, once again for the session.
My pleasure, doctor. Thank you.
And thank you for all the participants for supporting us with a good participation. And we'll be back to you with another exciting content. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you.